The Honest Garage Podcast, where real shop owners tell real shop stories.
Today on the Honest Garage Podcast, we're talking with a shop leader who has spent the last decade proving that an owner doesn't have to be in the building every minute for a shop to run well. But the person leading the day-to-day absolutely has to think, care, and act like an owner. Our guest today is Marshall Atkinson, manager of Neal's Garage in Durham, North Carolina. Neal's Garage has been serving Durham since 1950 and today operates as a full-service repair shop, handling diagnostics, maintenance, tires, alignments, brakes, hybrid service, EV-related work, towing, and fleet services. What stood out in the prep call is that Marshall's story isn't the typical, I grew up wrenching with my dad kind of path. He came out of the Air Force, stepped into the shop through a friend, and over time grew into the role rather than being handed it outright. As the owner, Chris stepped back into more of an absentee owner role, and Marshall kept taking on more. First on the front counter, then on the operational side, then into the kind of decision-making that affects staffing, systems, workflow, and customer experience every single day. By his own description, he's been doing pretty much everything an owner does for a long time. Marshall's wired for both people and process. In the prep call, he talked about remembering customers by name, remembering what was done on their cars the last time they were in, and genuinely caring about the interaction. At the same time, he's intensely focused on numbers and systems, P&Ls, agreements, equipment, and operational discipline. Over the years, he's helped turn what used to be a more chaotic, say yes to everything model into something more intentional, narrowing the type of work that they take, setting an 05 and up vehicle cutoff, reducing big bay locking jobs, and keeping the work mix more profitable and more manageable for the team. There's also a strong innovation and presentation side of the shop. Neal's has leaned into things like loaner cars, EV charging, hybrid, and similar services, and has a very intentional standard around cleanliness, organization, and uniform presentation. In this episode, we're going to dig into what it really takes to run a shop well for an absentee owner, what a great GM or operator has to own beyond just the front counter, how Marshall thinks about innovation, customer service, and shop standards, and what's actually working right now inside a long-running independent that's trying to stay current without losing the old school trust that built it. Marshall, welcome to the Honest Garage Podcast, man. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Of course.
Hey, so I like to get things started with kind of a softball question. We ask people, what's one thing that really gets you excited about this industry or got you excited enough to join the industry?
I was excited when I just saw how critical it was as far as to the community. I came in early learning and I was really intrigued as far as just the system and automotive in general, but the fact that everybody in the community, Duke, surgeons, senators, pretty much to your single families, everybody, they need this. They need the service as far as somebody fixing their cars. And it was something where you didn't have to go do 6-8 years as far as the college to get into it and hit the ground running and kind of just took it on full speed. But what got me excited was you could do so much, even though it seems like, I feel like it's taken for granted to a certain extent as far as the industry itself. But there's a lot that it contributes as far as to the community. And I like to think I got an altruistic spirit and I like to do for others. It kind of fits me as far as in that aspect.
Yeah. And talk to me about that time, like growing up. I know I kind of touched on it in the intro there, but I kind of want people to hear it from you because your story is not the normal way of getting into a shop that I had, for instance, or that other people have had. How did you end up really where you're at now and with Neal's Garage and the beginning of your career? And talk to me about that.
They say everything happens for a reason. I feel like I'm a pretty good fit now. I didn't get into this because I was infatuated with cars or mechanics as far as that. Of course, it's something where everybody likes a nice car. I enjoy riding in it, but it wasn't something where I was wrenching with my dad, like you said, or somebody as far as influenced me to do it. I got into the Air Force around 21 and just more or less enjoyed that aspect of it. Came out and I had a friend that was doing this. He, similar to me, didn't grow up in the automotive community. He didn't have a dad that influenced him, but kind of came in as far as because he knew a friend that did have that story, and just brought him on. And whenever I left the Air Force, I came over here. It seemed like a good place as far as to work. He enjoyed it and just grew into it, really. I can tell you pretty much anything you want to know now as far as a vehicle. I can tell you common problems, common issues. I definitely encourage and love the idea. I've worked with cars with my son. He's only 4, but when we come up here, we like to just tinker with things. He loves the idea of the fact that his dad can fix things and what we do. And it's something I definitely encourage, and I hope to see more of as far as people getting into the trades and getting into the automotive, because I feel like it's a dying breed, but it's definitely something that is exciting. It's different. You run into new problems. You have to kind of really focus on the fundamentals as you grow, because it's ever changing. But if you go back to the basics, it's pretty similar as far as in that fact.
Yeah, I want to talk about kind of the unique spot you were in trying to learn the industry while trying to handle staffing and technician turnover and keeping the business stable on the day-to-day, and everything you had to learn about the industry while also learning about business ownership. What's been the hardest part about stepping in at the level of responsibility that you did or that you've grown into? And what did that time from beginning to here really teach you about yourself as a leader?
So it was a lot early on. There were mistakes that were happened, but you learn from those. You know, I mean, there's no success without failure. That being said, I went to the schools with the technicians. I went to the classes. I did any classes, anything as far as research early on top of it. I would spend free time there. I would get hands-on, really communicate as far as with the technicians, what was going on, explaining it as far as, hey, explain to me as if you're talking to a 3-year-old type situation. But also just focusing on, I will say I have a knack for it as far as just dealing with people and handling situations, thriving in the chaos, if you will. Great with multitasking and just kind of compartmentalizing problems as they come, while also being able to stay focused in other areas as far as just attention to what's being worked on, what's going on in the flow. I did have a great individual as far as worked up here with me, the person that brought me on after the Air Force, and we went at it as a team for a good while, and then he stepped away. And that synergy and us working together, we were good friends since before high school. So it made it to where it surpassed a work situation. It was just a culture. We really care about this place, not just myself and him, but there's a technician that's been working here for a long time. So I love the intro, love the bio, but for me to try to take credit of this situation would be not what I would want to portray. Anything and everything is a team effort. I try to lead from the middle, not from the front. Creating the fundamentals, creating the look, creating the branding, all Snipes. And that's the owner, Christopher. Instilling the work ethic, that's Mom, you know, from the beginning. Dad kind of taught me the ins and outs, but he got out of the picture pretty early. But as far as here, Snipes had a way, the owner has a way of monitoring from afar, knowing your potential and pushing, creating those opportunities. He put a lot on the two of us as far as the teammate in the front early on, and we took it full force. It was a pride thing as far as what we could do, what we could accomplish. We really stepped out of your norm as far as a worker. But me and him, we were working at 12. We were working at a very young age. We come from humble beginnings, and that's what you do. You work hard, and we don't really have an entitled mindset. But it's been a team effort, a team energy as far as everybody treating this like a baby and really caring about it, watching it grow, and trying to refine everything continuously until it's just the beautiful, consistent product that we like to portray as far as to the public and deliver.
Yeah, that's what really stood out about you when we were having the conversation during the prep call, was that philosophy and the mentality that really exists in the shop today. You talked about the consistency in customer care, remembering people's names and going beyond that and actually remembering what was done to their vehicle the last time it was brought in. But for a shop that's been around as long as you guys have, with the owner absent, I know a lot of times that's a really difficult culture to instill. How are you guys keeping that culture and that philosophy alive in the shop today? What are you guys doing different?
It's just, you lead by example. You have to care just the same way. I won't ask anybody to do anything back there that I'm not willing to do myself, but you keep the the standard consistent. We police each other. If it's something where, hey, I feel like I fell off there, we'll communicate about it. We'll get in front of it. But the whole thing is you fix that situation, and communicating about anything and everything allows you to look at the different outcomes that were possible and come up with that system again to where, hey, we're not going to run into that again because we're going to do this and this. And some situations are just, they're outliers, they're unorthodox, and you probably won't see them again. But just being able to communicate in a positive way and really have the same goals as far as for the shop and everybody being on the same page for that. If it's something where you have negativity, you're lashing out, you're not in the right headspace, we're going to address it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see what's going on, because most likely it doesn't have to do with the shop. It's something outside that, and we'll get past it. We've had hard times. We've had unlikely situations as far as people's attitude to what we're normally used to seeing, but just everybody knowing and portraying, explaining that standard and getting in front of it, communicating that with everybody and setting just goals for everybody to keep meeting that standard. I'm not going to take credit on it. We got a lot of good guys that have good intentions. I will say I am the face that most people see, and that consistency alone is a really good thing for a shop. If you start seeing different people in the front, different managers, you start to worry, well, what's going on behind the scenes? Is it a problem as far as with how they're being paid, how they're being treated? Is it not a good place to work? People get concerned. But having a consistent face up front, it's nice for them to see. It is nice when somebody walks in and I can say, hey, so-and-so, how are you doing? When I can recognize them right off the bat, it really throws people off, to be honest. Whenever you remember, it's entertaining for me. But yeah, I just really care. Growing up, we treated everybody, the trust is automatic. Respect is automatic, and unless you lose that for whatever reason. And my mother was just really big she's very altruistic and treated everybody like family, took care of them, brought them in. And I just transposed that same energy to all the customers. It's a bit cliche as far as to say we treat everybody like family. The people that you care about, you remember them. You want to treat them the right way. You want to, have them remember you for the good things. And sometimes it's going to be tough, but if you communicate and you do it as far as with decency and respect, then they appreciate that just as much as when you're making them feel the warm fuzzies. So we like to make everybody as happy as possible. That's not always going to be possible in this industry because of what it is, but we try to make it as best as it can be.
And it's not just the consistency on the front end with seeing the same face at the counter. That's obviously great. And we touched a lot on consistency in the customer service side, but to be in business as long as you guys have and have the reputation you guys do, it's consistency in the back with the techs too, constantly putting out great work.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you're doing training on that side of things and keeping things up to date with some of the modern technology and some of the modern stuff you're doing with EV training and installing charging stations and just the impact that's had on the shop.
So we've had great core guys. We've got David in the back, wonderful technician, been doing it longer than I've been alive. Larry's in the back, another individual that I've known since high school, really knows the ins and outs of the whole operation, but just a great tech as well. Usually, you should know something when you're coming in the building. We don't mind bringing in new techs and training, but we like for them to have some experience. The whole thing about it is, no matter what you know, I will train you and teach you to the point to where you are efficient in this building, which means kind of learning how to get things in and out quick to a certain extent, doing proper inspections, always communicating about everything, asking questions before you make a mistake or before you just try something. Don't have too much pride. We say leave your pride at the door. If it's something where you're a little, maybe not, you're a little on the edge as far as, hey, should I do this? Communicate. I myself have worked in the back and gotten pretty proficient at it to where I can, and as well as just working a counter as far as when it comes to a service advisor, you just learn what to expect and how to monitor somebody when they're doing work and if they're comfortable in that facet. So you can kind of see when somebody's just a little uneasy when they're doing something. And you want to check on them. I like going around doing status checks, just seeing how comfortable somebody is, how they feel, how much time you got in it. I really try to build them up. Did they beat the book time? Yeah, you killed it. You did great. Just staying in touch with every part of the aspect. I'm really big on probably asking too much how you're doing, but it matters to me.
Yeah.
It's a big thing of staying in tune. It's just
it sounds like a customer service centered approach both for the customer and for the technician side. You're really, it sounds like a servant leadership heart to me a little bit, where you're there to serve the customers and your employees and everybody that's trying to pull in the same direction.
Oh, 100%. Like when people sit there and there's that whole, we got a waiter, when they create that joke, that storyline of how you try to motivate the techs. If we got a waiter and they're busy, I'm not going to pull you off. I'm going to go back there and do it myself. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I'll pick up after you. We're going to get the cardboard out of your way. We're going to clean your area. We're going to keep up with the bathrooms. We're going to clean the surfaces. I'm going to help you organize at the end of the day. I like to say I lead from the middle of the pack, because it's just, that's where people feel the most respect whenever they're in this type of environment and they're working in 100-degree weather. I don't want to be the guy sitting in the AC just saying, hey, do this. I'm out there with you.
That makes perfect sense. And we covered a fair amount here. We got into even deeper in the prep call about a few other things you've got going on that's in the shop. I'm curious for the listeners, what's the thing that's working the absolute best for you guys, helping the shop stay strong right now?
We got a good staff, and that's always key. Loaner cars really help with bigger jobs. We see, and when I say bigger jobs, we don't do things like we've spoken about as far as the motors, the transmissions, evaporator cores. But if it's something where it's like 12, 14 hours or such, it's going to straddle a day. Or if you run into a problem, you got to we had a Mercedes doing the oil separator, had to do the camshaft or the part as far as the PCV. So that's something where, in those moments to where you have to get and pull those audibles, it just really helps. Another thing is what's really helping the shop. The customer base is great. We live in a great community, man. I can't complain. I hope that everybody has the same experience that we do with customers. They're great. They're understanding. And if it's something where it makes sense, they'll do it. It doesn't really feel like you're selling. This stuff sells itself. So it's not, we don't push up here. Yes, of course, everybody's going to look over, and we keep the consistency of looking over the vehicles and doing a proper inspection. But we're not trying to sit there and force you into doing something that isn't as necessary, an alternator or the brakes or something of that nature. So, it's just having that good relationship as far as with the community, having a good relationship with the staff, and also having the backing of the owner. No micromanagement or coming in and trying to force you to hit numbers or push you as far as in a certain direction. It's a great approach to this whole shop environment, in my personal opinion. I feel like I talk a lot, so I apologize for that.
No, you're great, man. I love it. And you touched on something there that I want to revisit and give a little bit more time to, where you guys used to say yes to too much, you said in the prep call. We touched on it where you're not doing all types of work anymore. Talk to me about what that work mix looks like for what you're doing now and why you guys changed that.
So we used to say yes to everything, and that could be doing oil changes when you don't need it. That could be doing a motor when you don't really have the time, or working on an older car, or taking on things that are just outside of your realm, doing head gaskets, doing 3 timing belts in a day, and just trying to make it all work as far as one technician. It's just, we felt like it was a negative thing to say no. Like we were going to lose out on the sale, the customer, because in this industry, there's loyalty, but there's not as much loyalty as most. One of my customers can be on a trip. They can be in a different part of town, and it's something where they'll go to another shop. But yeah, we just felt like everything was something we had to do. And at this point, we've really optimized the way that we operate. We've transitioned as far as to more maintenance work. We do alternators, catalytic converters. We'll do exhaust work. We'll do alternators, starters, pretty much anything that you can do as far as 3, 4, 5 hours for a single job. My tickets get large. They will turn to 14, 16, 20 hours. But that's a difference in one line item and 10 to 12 line items. When the guys see that, it's easier to maintain. It's easier to swallow as far as the task. And they really feel like they're doing a lot. If it's somewhere you got a guy under a head gasket job, a motor job, and he's just watching another technician sit there and do that easier work, that quicker work, and he's turning hours. Somebody might seem gung-ho about doing it, but in the midst of that, it's just going to have a negative effect. And that's something that affects the culture. I really care about equality, everybody having matching hours, keeping up with that consistently as far as what they're turning, making sure that everybody's being fed work. And with the smaller jobs and the more maintenance-based things, that's something that you can accomplish.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to balance smaller pieces than big chunks of time.
Yes, very much. Yeah, you lose days at a time trying to do paint gaskets. Whenever I can sit there and give a single technician 6 to 8 tickets in a day.
Yeah. When you're living in this really unique space that either some shops we talk to really don't trust it, some shops we talk to really wish that they could get there themselves, where that owner can truly take a step back from the business and kind of turn over the keys in that decision making to somebody in that GM role or a lead operator role. What are you doing, or what did you do to kind of earn that level of trust and responsibility? And what would you tell another person that was in your shoes about how to earn that and what they can do to earn that?
And I just kept showing up. I had a good attitude as far as taking on the next challenge and bringing on more. I really do feel when an owner trusts you and he trusts your decision making and can step away, it speaks as far as a level of respect, and it creates a lot of opportunity as far as growth. A lot of people turn away from responsibility. They start allocating it towards pay and different things, which I think is somewhat of a negative culture. I mean, yes, pay is important, but that being said, looking to push yourself and grow in just a personal way. I mean, mastering the next challenge, learning the next task. How does this work? I've just always been somebody that likes to learn more and get better at a job or a place of employment. And this place allowed me to do that. There was no ceiling as far as what I'm allowed to do to a certain extent. I mean, within the shop, I could do things outside, but it's a nice place that allows you to just feel good and assertive and confident as far as in controlling the whole scenario. And that's another thing that allows such good customer service as far as with the other people, because I know just how to handle situations. You don't have to ask questions towards an owner. You don't have to go over a scenario and see, how would you do this, or how do you want me to do this? It's just complete trust as far as how to do things. And as far as how to get to that point for another individual, I'm not sure, man. We had an interesting relationship, a friendship as far as the owner. And it is something to where he's the one who instilled that mindset to me. If you're an owner of a business, you should be constantly firing yourself from jobs, or else the business is running you. And
that's the piece I wanted to touch on next. Exactly, was like you and Chris have kind of this, you built a really solid relationship there. I know you and Chris have that really solid relationship, but what advice would you give to owners out there? Because that's our primary audience, is shop owners. And I know we got a lot of them listening to this show. What can they do to help nurture somebody like you in their shop so that they can grow, so that the owner can step back if that's what they want to do?
I'd like to think that there was a formula, something that you can copy, but it is hard to recreate every scenario that we've been through. I would say just start by trusting and not second guessing. Hand those tasks over. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be firm. Ask questions as far as, why did you do this? And not in a condescending way, but just genuinely, why did your mind think that was the way to go? Converse and give feedback as far as, if you thought that was the way to go, my mind would have went this way, but I see how you got there. Because that may open a dialogue of, wow, why don't we come together and figure out how we can both do it better together? Just putting more responsibility and pushing people, it's not a bad thing. Somebody who can handle it, somebody who's not looking to be a victim, not looking to have that mentality of, oh, why me, but really step up to a challenge. And that's getting harder and harder to find nowadays. But
it sounds a little bit like the formula is hire good at first and then have a conversation and continue to find out what works for you. But it really starts by hiring somebody who has the capacity and the drive, who wants to be in that role.
Yeah. And it's a tough role. It is. It's very stressful for most people. Like I've said, I thrive in the chaos, and it's been a really growing experience. And it's just the way my mind works. Not most people can sit there and remember all their customers' first and last name and what we've been doing. But the more you care about it, the more you actually genuinely create the rapport and the relationship with the customers over time, that's second nature. It's not an abnormality. Yeah, you may have to look something up here and there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's about really wanting it, not treating it like it's just a job. Although you have to be able to not wear it and put it away and go home and have balance. But you have to really take pride in what you're doing. You have to care and you have to ride it out. The whole thing is with the whole compensation and everything at first, you have to know it's not all about money. Sometimes it's about resources. You know, what can somebody do with you? What's a good relationship? Yeah, it's just a lot of people, they see things right here and they get so worked up about it, but they don't focus on the long game. And that's where you really want to be. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm not completely blessed, but the more that this situation is challenged, the more I've grown as an individual. I've done this shop. I've managed this place for quite some time, and I've put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. Late days, weekends. I've been a single dad for over 3.5 years, doing that at the same time, managing daycares, and you start to learn how to optimize your time. You compartmentalize your problems, and you just really deal with what you can deal with at a moment-to-moment basis. And that's how I've grown. And I think that the people are out there. For an owner, it's a possible thing. You just got to work on it. You got to really trust your people. You got to show them you care and be willing to step outside the realm of just a work relationship. Communicate with that person as far as on a personal level. They run into a problem, find a solution outside just doing something for them at the job. It's really something that just grows into a beautiful thing if you trust it and you really work at it.
I love that, man. So transitioning here to the question we ask everybody that comes on the show, we're really big on the word honest, obviously. You know, the
Yes.
Honest Garage podcast, Honest Mechanic Marketing, it's a big deal to us and our culture, but I'm really curious to hear other people's perspective about that phrase, honest mechanic or honest shop. When you hear that, what does that mean to you personally? What does that mean in how you show up for Neal's Garage every day?
And I'm big on it. I think that transparency and communication is big. I think that this industry has an unfortunate stigma of taking advantage of the public, being dishonest. And it's something that I work against consistently and just on a day-to-day basis. But I come from the Air Force, and it's something where if you've ever been in the military, they break you down, they build you back up. They're going to make you do the little things, and you'll figure out why you did them. And the morals, the code as far as over there is integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And it's something that I've transposed into my day-to-day and my work life, and it's really big in me. I'll do anything and everything I can as far as for another individual. I try to be as honest as possible. It's just big. One of my biggest pet peeves is a liar. I can't. It's the ick. It gives it to me. I don't like it. It's something that turns me off. As you go through this and you learn how to finagle the situation, you're going to leave yourself, it's mechanics. So you got to leave yourself an out. You got to leave yourself an open door, but it's still honesty at the same time because you're preparing that individual the way you communicate and how you set. You got to underpromise, over-deliver. So I don't test my integrity around here. We stay very honest. We take care of the customers. And I think that's a big part of why people keep coming back and why we have such a great customer base. But I do feel like, unfortunately, if you're a dishonest shop, it'll catch up to you. And you're probably going to be the ones that don't last too long.
Yeah. Plus, we wouldn't want to do anything that's going to make your mama upset.
Oh, 100%.
I know she'd have your head if you were out there doing something crooked.
Oh, man, she wouldn't let it happen.
I love that. That's great, man. I just want to say thanks again for taking the time to be with us on the show today. It was a great conversation. And before you go, I just want to give you an opportunity to share the best way for people to connect with you. A lot of times they will reach out to us after the show, and we just want to make it as easy as possible. What's the best way for people to stay in touch with you and find out what's going on at Neal's Garage?
And if anybody wants to reach out, has any questions, has anything that they'd like to touch on, yahoo.com is the email. I check that daily. If it's something where you want to reach out to the shop, give me a call. 919-286-1167. It's all over. And just you can message on Facebook as well. That's something that I check on pretty much a daily basis as well.
That's awesome, man. We've found that as we get further and further into these episodes, that people just are building a community around good, honest shop owners. And so we love to make sure that we can facilitate that as best we can on this end. So if you got value and you're out there as a listener, you got value from today's conversation, please take the time to share it with another shop owner. Subscribe to the show so that you don't miss future episodes. Leave us a review. It actually helps people find the show the same way that reviews help your customers find your business. It means more than you would think on these podcasting platforms. And for more resources or real world marketing advice, you can always reach out to us at honestmechanicmarketing.com. We'd love having that conversation as well. But I just want to say thanks one more time to Marshall for being with us today. And it was a good conversation, man. Really appreciate you. And everybody out there listening, thank you for listening. And as always, keep it honest in the garage.